Every Friday evening, Adrian Mercer believed he understood exactly how his peaceful life would unfold until one quiet conversation changed everything he thought he knew about the woman he had trusted for nearly 2 decades. As the sunlight faded beyond the windows of their comfortable home in the coastal city of Briar Harbor, his wife calmly announced that she would not be joining him for dinner because she had made other plans that she described with an unsettling level of confidence. Instead of offering another familiar excuse about work, a charity event, or visiting an old friend, Natalie simply smiled, adjusted her elegant coat, and admitted she was meeting someone who made her feel alive again. Speaking as though honesty at the final moment somehow erased months of deception, Adrian quietly placed his coffee mug on the table, looked directly into her eyes, and replied with a calm expression that revealed nothing while silently deciding that the evening would unfold very differently than she expected. 4 days earlier, Adrian had borrowed Natalie's luxury crossover after his own vehicle had been left at a repair center for routine maintenance, believing it would be an ordinary morning filled with supplier meetings and warehouse inspections. While searching the dashboard display for directions to a manufacturing company he had never visited before, he noticed several recent destinations leading to the same unfamiliar lakeside cottage nearly 2 hours away, each visit recorded on different afternoons during the previous month. The address immediately caught his attention because Natalie had never mentioned traveling anywhere near that quiet vacation community, and there was no family member, client, or close friend living there who could explain such repeated trips. A strange uneasiness settled into his chest as he saved the location on his phone, closed the navigation screen, and forced himself to continue driving even though countless uncomfortable questions had already begun racing through his mind. As the day progressed, scattered memories slowly returned with surprising clarity, including an afternoon when Natalie claimed a coworker had driven her home because her vehicle supposedly needed emergency servicing at a dealership across town. Adrian remembered watching her vehicle sitting untouched in their garage throughout that entire day while he worked remotely from home, dismissing the inconsistency at the time because trust had always come naturally to him. By the time he finished his appointments and returned home, every conversation from the previous several weeks seemed different when viewed through the unsettling possibility that each explanation had been carefully rehearsed rather than honestly shared. Birthday dinners, volunteer meetings, wellness retreats, and weekend shopping trips suddenly formed a confusing pattern that no longer felt random, leaving Adrian quietly wondering how many ordinary evenings had actually concealed something far more serious. That night, after Natalie went upstairs, claiming she needed extra sleep before another demanding day at the medical center where she worked as an administrator, Adrian remained alone in the dining room reviewing the saved navigation records on his phone. He carefully compared each recorded trip with dates marked on the family calendar, and discovered that every visit matched an occasion when Natalie had confidently explained she would be somewhere completely different. Rather than confronting her immediately, Adrian decided emotions would only cloud his judgment, so he began organizing everything with the same patience he used while managing complicated logistics for his distribution company. He photographed the navigation history, recorded the vehicle mileage, copied important dates into a notebook, and stored every detail where nothing could conveniently disappear if someone suddenly decided to erase the evidence. The following morning, curiosity led Adrian to search professional networking websites until he found the profile of Damian Cross, a successful regional consultant who had occasionally visited Natalie's workplace during training programs. Photographs showed Damian smiling beside his wife, Rebecca, and their young daughter during vacations, community events, and holiday celebrations, creating the image of a stable family that looked remarkably similar to the one Adrian believed he had built himself. Seeing those cheerful family photographs made the situation feel painfully real, because Adrian had met Damian twice before during company gatherings where friendly conversations and polite introductions gave no hint that their lives might someday become connected through betrayal. Instead of allowing anger to control him, Adrian quietly closed the web page, realizing that whatever truth existed would eventually affect far more people than only himself. Over the next 2 days, Natalie continued behaving as though nothing had changed, laughing during dinner, discussing ordinary household expenses, and occasionally mentioning Damian as just another colleague handling projects for several regional clinics. Each casual reference sounded increasingly rehearsed to Adrian, Yet he responded with calm politeness because he believed the strongest position would come from certainty rather than suspicion. On Wednesday afternoon, Adrian made one final decision that would quietly reshape every life connected to the unfolding secret by sending a respectful message to Rebecca through a private social media account. Without making accusations or emotional claims, he shared the repeated travel records, the unfamiliar cottage address, and the exact dates while encouraging her to verify the information independently before reaching any conclusions. After pressing the send button, Adrian placed his phone face down on the kitchen counter and returned to his daily responsibilities, knowing he had crossed a point from which there could be no comfortable return regardless of what happened next. And known to Natalie, the carefully protected world she believed would remain hidden was already beginning to crack beneath the weight of simple facts, and the first pieces of a much larger truth were about to emerge. The following evening, Adrian arrived home to find Natalie preparing dinner with unusual enthusiasm, humming softly as though nothing had changed during the past several days. She spoke about weekend plans, grocery shopping, and a future vacation, completely unaware that the quiet confidence she relied upon was already beginning to collapse behind the scenes. Just after sunset, Adrian's phone vibrated, with a message from Rebecca that confirmed every suspicion he had tried so hard to dismiss. She explained that she had reviewed financial statements, discovered repeated payments connected to the same lakeside cottage, and realized her husband had been lying for weeks about business travel. The confirmation brought no satisfaction, only a deep sadness that settled over Adrian like an unexpected storm, because two families had now been forced to face the same painful truth. Even so, he thanked Rebecca for verifying the facts and wished her strength, knowing they were both unwilling participants in a situation created by someone else's dishonesty. The next morning, Adrian scheduled a confidential meeting with an experienced family attorney named Victor Hale, carrying every screenshot, photograph, and written note he had collected throughout the week. Victor carefully reviewed the material, praised Adrian's patience in documenting everything, and advised him to avoid emotional confrontations until every legal precaution had been completed. For the next several days, Adrian quietly gathered financial records, property documents, insurance information, and other important paperwork without disrupting the normal routine inside the house. Natalie remained completely unaware that every practical step toward a new future was already being prepared, while she continued believing her carefully built deception remained hidden. Late Friday afternoon, Natalie walked into the living room wearing an elegant evening dress, confidently announcing that she would be spending the night with someone who truly appreciated her company instead of inventing another excuse. Adrian calmly looked up from the book he had been reading and simply told her that Rebecca had known the truth for several days, causing the confident smile on her face to disappear almost instantly. Natalie immediately reached for her phone and began calling Damien repeatedly, but every attempt ended without an answer as panic slowly replaced the confidence she had displayed only moments earlier. The silence growing between each unanswered call revealed more than any explanation she could have offered, and Adrian quietly watched without interrupting, because the truth was finally speaking for itself. After several unsuccessful attempts to reach Damien, Natalie tried explaining that everything had become far more complicated than she ever intended and insisted that she never wanted to destroy their marriage. Adrian listened respectfully before reminding her that trust could not survive repeated choices made over many months, especially when every lie had required another lie to protect it. He calmly informed her that his attorney already possessed complete copies of every important document and that any future conversations about their marriage would proceed through legal channels rather than emotional arguments. Natalie realized at that moment that the careful control she believed she had maintained over the situation had completely disappeared, leaving her to face the consequences of her own decisions. The following morning, Adrian left for work before sunrise, allowing Natalie the privacy to collect her belongings while he focused on responsibilities that suddenly felt much simpler than the emotional burden he had carried for weeks. During his lunch break, Rebecca sent one final message explaining that Damien had moved out of their family home after admitting everything, bringing another painful chapter to an unavoidable end. Within a month, both legal cases moved forward with surprising efficiency because the documented evidence left very little room for unnecessary disputes or misunderstandings. Adrian kept the home he had spent years building, while Natalie accepted a fair financial settlement and started a completely different life in another city, where she hoped for a fresh beginning. Months later, Adrian gradually rediscovered the peaceful routines he had almost forgotten, spending weekends repairing his garden, reconnecting with longtime friends, and enjoying quiet evenings, without wondering whether every explanation concealed another secret. Although the memories still carried sadness, they also reminded him that honesty, patience, and self-respect always create a stronger foundation than deception ever can. One crisp autumn morning, Adrian finished repairing the wooden fence surrounding his property and stood quietly in the backyard watching the sunrise paint the sky with brilliant shades of gold and orange. For the first time in many months, he felt genuine peace instead of uncertainty, realizing that losing a dishonest relationship had ultimately allowed him to reclaim a truthful and hopeful future for himself. Please subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and family. We create entertaining and inspiring stories for our viewers, and your support helps us continue making great content for you.